action. All right, so all around the room I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different stations, and some stations have multiple things at them. Some of them are much more straightforward than others. Some of them are going to be kind of brand new to you, and we'll just kind of see what we have. So first of all, everybody, let's, in a distanced manner, well, I'll just explain first. So this table has a couple things. First of all, this is like a carving table. I am all about printmaking, and we never get to do enough of it. And I think it would be fun to just, I have some old blocks of linoleum here. This is my like softer linoleum, and this is a lot harder, but you can get a lot more detail with it. So this is like a practicing carving area. Main rule with carving, never carve towards your fingers. Never ever carve towards your fingers. If you do, you could like skip and ooh, no, don't. So this is a place to just like practice carving, and we can print with these later. If you want to do something that's actually related to your sustained investigation with the carving, great, go for it. If you want to just play around, great, go for it. The other thing that's at this table is, actually, let's join. Everybody come around in a distanced manner. Don't touch the tip. This is a Craypen, which is cray cray. Can you hand me that paper? A lot of these things can be experimented, yeah, just one of those. A lot of these things can be experimented with in your sketchbooks, but I also have paper at a lot of these tables that you can use too. So this is kind of like a wood burning tool where it has a hot tip, and it's designed for melting wax. So you can use this with crayons too. That's why it's called Craypen, because it's like crayons. And basically you just like dip it into the wax, and this tip actually has like a hole, and the wax then comes out, and it's a melted wax. And then you can go and grab another color, and it just kind of like melts into the wax. Pick it up, and then like lay it down. And you can kind of blend, because you can reactivate the color by just like melting it. And it's like a really unique medium. Like nothing else we use is really quite like this. So when it dries, it's just like wax. So you could do this like on top of lots of different kinds of materials. It would probably work well with like oil painting. I don't know. There's just a lot of possibilities here. And then this is the clean out wax. So if you want to change to a color that's like really different, like a lighter color, you just want to like clean the tip of the pen in the clean out wax. Kind of, you know, let it empty out a little bit. So main thing here, just play around, see what you can do, and don't touch the hot part. Okay? Also, if you want super fine detail, we're not going to use this today, but I do have a smaller tip for it as well if you want finer details. But you have to wait for it to cool down to change the tips. So I'm just using the basic tip. And see, you can just kind of clean it off by like rolling it around on the side of your paper. The cool thing about this, perfect for glass, wood, metal, paper, plastic, and more. So you can use it on all kinds of stuff. And you see this zebra example, you can like blend between colors. It's a little tedious, like it takes a really long time to use, but it's unique and it's kind of fun, and it could be an interesting thing to try. So that's the Craypen. With the carving tools, I bought new carving tools this year, and I'm really excited. They're better than the NASCO ones. All the carving tools, the tips are stored in the handle, and And depending on which one you want, you know, this is like the really fine detail. This is the bigger, this is called a V gouge. This is called a U gouge. These are all quite sharp, so handle with care. And when you're changing the tips, you basically just unscrew this a little bit, and there's a gap that shows up here. It's a little hard to see, but this is called the chuck. And you stick this part in that gap, like that. It should fit fine. If it doesn't, you probably have something wrong. And then you tighten it back down, put the end back on, and then do some practicing. These are called bench hooks. So if I were sitting in the correct spot, you like balance your piece here so you don't have to hold it. That's the point. So when you're carving, like I said, always carve away from your fingers and just practice. Try it out. If you've never done this before, definitely try it out. A lot of you haven't done this for like 2 years, so definitely this is a really fun medium that I love to use. And the cool thing is that once you have a carving block, you can print it a gajillion times. Like you can use it forever and ever. So you can like make a multiple stamped background, paint on top of it, whatever, use it layering. Yeah, so these are all examples of some cool blocks that other people have done if you want some inspiration. Okay? Now, over here, this is my watercolory kind of stuff table. So this is relatively straightforward. Water pistol Pookie Fighter making an appearance. So I have put some high quality Holbein watercolors in here. I really, really like these watercolors. They're very heavily pigmented, so you can get really vibrant colors. And feel free to just test them out, try things out. You know, you've used watercolor before. Play around, enjoy. I'll put some salt over here too. Also, you can use, oh, these are black, never mind. I'll get you some white ones. You can use a white oil pastel to create a resist, where you like draw with white, paint over it, and then the white resists the watercolor. These are some sparkly ones. So I got sparkly ones, and these look really cool on black paper, and they can also just add a little sheen to your other watercolors. They're just fun. So I got them, I'm excited about them. And then these are gouache.
Be careful.
Ah, it's fine, it's dry.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever, I never wear white for a reason. So these are gouache. Have you guys used gouache before? Some of you? Okay. So gouache is essentially an opaque watercolor. So you can see where it's dried here, it has a very matte finish, and it's not see-through, so you can cover things very well with gouache. And gouache lays down really flat. You can get some nice, like, just super smooth tones of color in a gouache or whatever. And it is super compatible with watercolor. So you can like blend these together. You can use white gouache for details that like show up on top of watercolor. Gouache was actually, it's called designer's gouache because designers used to actually hand paint advertisements with gouache, and they would use those and like copy those, you know, for magazines or whatever. Like gouache was the preferred thing because it paints really flat and really matte, so it like is reproduced well. So yeah, the last thing, these are golden fluid acrylics. Oh boy, that one. These have never been used, so you need to actually open them. So don't just like squeeze and expect it to work, because it won't. Also, they're really separated, so you need to shake them. Now these are fluid acrylics, so they are an acrylic product, but they're super duper liquidy. So they're kind of almost like a liquid watercolor, but they are acrylic. So these you could use with watercolor if you want, or you can just, these also hold. Oh. It's kind of fun. So there's basically super, super liquidy acrylic. These can be used with all kinds of acrylics. You can mix them with like gesso and do a toned ground or whatever. They're pretty fun. They're like, you know, I don't know. I've never really used them that much, so have fun trying these out. So this is all like liquidy things table. Over here is printmaking of, this is like a couple of ways of printmaking. So here's some trays, and we put water in them, and then you can do pastel prints. So you can use these pastels. You get your palette knife, and you use it to scrape some pastel dust onto the surface. I'm sure you guys have seen viral videos of like hydro printing, you know, this is kind of like that, but like not quite as cool. But more artistic, I would wager. So, you know, get whatever colors you want. Some of them really like settle on the surface, and some of them actually like bloom on the surface, like they spread out. Where's my spready colors? This one's a spready color. See how it's kind of like repelling the other colors a little bit? So the different ones react a little bit differently, which is kind of fun. And then I would recommend, I have watercolor paper and A4 paper here. I actually think that A4 paper works better for the pastel prints. You just take it, smoosh it, make sure it makes full contact with the water, and voila! Isn't that kind of fun? So it just picks up the pastel that was laying on the surface. And these could be really cool for backgrounds, collage materials, whatever. And so yeah, that's a lot of fun. And then you can stick these on the drying rack. Also, everybody please move your stuff, because we're gonna get real messy up in here. This is ink, so you can also use ink to make prints. And it always comes out way too fast, and it's gonna happen again, I just know it. Come on. Just a little, please. Okay, that's actually way better than I expected. Okay, so for ink prints, you can kind of see there's a little bit of marbling happening on the surface. You can use a stick to kind of disrupt the surface and create a little bit more like marbling. Don't do it too much or you'll just get a uniform gray. Plonk. Tap, 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 tap. And, oh, that one's really dark. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There's some interesting sort of swirly bits going on. And then you can take another print. Maybe I'll try a watercolor paper this time. Disrupt it a little bit more. Come back to the surface. It's sort of like a witch's brew, I don't know. Double bubble. Tap, tap, tap. And let's see how this turns out. Ooh, look at that one. So these are really nice backgrounds for stuff. You could imagine some kind of like colored pencil drawing on top of this, or using it for like a sky texture or whatever. I love these. I think they're super fun. One step I did not do that I highly recommend is please write your name on the back of your print so you remember it's yours. And then we can stick them on this blue drying rack back here. Okay? So that's the printing zone. And then when you're done, you just dump this, rinse it out, and fill it up with a little more water again. And you can do it as many times as you want.
Can you use different colors?
Yeah, of ink, I only have black ink, unfortunately. We could try it with these acrylics. I've never tried them, so we could see if that works. You need something that like kind of floats on the surface. I used to have oil marbling sets, and I don't know where they went. So that's why we're just testing with black right now and with these. But I will dig around. I'll see if I can find my oil marbling. But yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can do this kind of water printing idea. But yeah, definitely maybe try those and see if that works too. Good question.
Can you ink with pastel here?
Yeah, this actually, I had a little bit of pastel left over in this one. It kind of repels the ink. So yeah, definitely worth trying and seeing if This one has a little bit of pastel on the edges too, you can see. Yeah, they're not super compatible. They're you know, kind of oil and water repelling each other, but definitely, this is all about experimentation. There's no like wrong answers here, unless you like cut yourself. That's a wrong answer. But yeah, so within reason, try tons of stuff. So I have 3 trays here, so multiple people could work at this station if you want. Multiple people can work here and here too. I would say try to have only 2 people per table though, just for distancing stuff. Over here, we have the collage table. So here's an example of a really big print. I think I did this one in the black tray, and I like dragged it across like this. So you can do it with really big paper if you want to try it. And that's why it has these like streaky textures. So this table is all about collage. And I have a couple of books about collage here that can give you some inspiration. Where's the one that when I showed you all my sustained investigation proposal, I talked about Matthew Cusick, and there's some collages in here that remind me of him, where it's like you use tiny pieces to create a larger image. Of course, I can't find it now, but there's just a lot of really cool examples of different collage art here, used in really unique, interesting ways. Here. So this is like an example of using lots of tiny pieces of collage to develop a larger image. It's a very painstaking process, but it can create really cool effects. So these are some cool examples of collage. This also has a lot of cool examples of collage, but specifically related to maps and working with maps. I also have maps for collage materials. Up there on my middle shelf, I also have newspapers and magazines. But on this table, I mostly just have my like paper collection. So I have like scrapbooking kind of papers, and I have some like just sort of like stationery kind of papers, and then some of my favorites are just like painted backgrounds. So these kinds of things are really lovely for repurposing for textures in your own work. I have a lot of watercolored papers. I have some more pastel prints like this one. So at this table, I want you to just experiment with like how you can use collage. I have a couple scissors here. This is Mod Podge, which is a type of glue. You would apply it with a brush, and you can use this to apply your collage, or you can use good old handy glue stick. So this is Explore Collage Table. I'd recommend just collaging right into your sketchbook for this one. Over here, we have the Dry Media Drawing Stuff table. So here we have our handy dandy Prismacolors. If you've never experimented with Prismacolors, you should. They're a nice brand of colored pencils. They're not like the fanciest you can get. I actually sent you guys a link to those. Those are the Luminance colored pencils. If you love colored pencils and you want to drop some cash, you can get those. I've never used them myself. These are great. I really recommend working in lots of layers for these, and there's a really nice color range. These are my Ohuhus. Who names these things? It's so great. I love it. This is the color swatches I did for these. This is like 1 layer and 2 layers of each color. And I don't know if you've used alcohol markers before. I haven't really used them a lot. This is the colorless blender, so you can use it to kind of blend between colors. This paper here, this is something I did with these. This paper is marker paper. It's okay. It's a little bit thinner than I would like, but feel free to experiment here. You can also experiment in your sketchbook. This is actually to put underneath, like in between pages of your sketchbook, so the markers don't bleed through to the next page. So use this if you want, or just another sheet of paper. There's a really nice range of colors here. I've really enjoyed playing with these. They are a little bit stinky, so especially the blender, so be aware. And then here we have scratchboard. So scratchboard, I don't know if you have experimented with before, but I'm just getting a little tester paper here. Scratchboard is usually black, and then you scratch through and it's white. And so you're kind of like thinking in reverse, like reverse shading. These are the scratch tools. You can also use a toothpick. You can also use like your finger. Like there's lots of things you can scratch with. This one I think is actually clear. So if you scratch through, it will be a transparent paper, and then you can like photograph it with like an interesting background or something. So there's a lot of scratchboard here. Just experiment. You can get super detailed with scratchboard, which I really like. So if you like working in a really detailed way, or you could even just get like a little bit of a drawing and then cut it out and incorporate it as a collage into something else, that could be really cool. So this is like the dry media drawing stuff table. Boom, over here, this is probably my favorite table. You guys getting excited? I'm trying to talk really fast so you can get started right away. Can you grab me a palette and a couple colors of paint? By the way, I highly recommend aprons today. I have thank you, perfect. I have a bag of aprons up there. These are called Gelli printing plates. Have any of you guys used these before? No? Oh my goodness. They're so fun. So you can touch them. They're squishy. They feel like jelly, kind of. Let me grab a couple more things over here. Oh. Yeah, they feel a little weird, but they're fun. And a couple things you can use with these. Just try not to poke them with anything sharp. That's the only thing I don't want you to do with these. So you can use bubble wrap to get some interesting textures. You can also use like the wraps from fruit. Save those fancy peaches from Chuseok, guys. Bring in your fruit wraps. And you can use acrylic paint. Oh, can you also grab me a brush, somebody? Like a big-ish acrylic brush. Perfect. Gracias. So, I should be wearing my apron, but I'm not. It's fine. Famous last words. Okay, so we got some colors. So here's what's really fun. Oh, I forgot to get paper for this table. Lily, can you grab me a stack of those papers, the watercolor papers, on the watercolor table? Okay, just like half of the stack. Okay, so you can cover your printing plate with paint. And then what's fun, you can do multiple prints from the same situation. So here I'm gonna do some of this and some of this and a little bit of this. I'm gonna take these things and these will pull off the paint. So I take this and that looks cool. That looks cool. And that looks cool. So that's fun in and of itself. And then you have this cool thing here going on. So you take another paper and you take a print from here. So you go like this. That's a little crooked, that's okay. Just rub the back, pull it off. Ooh, that's fun. And then I still have more paint on here. I can then, you know, if I want to add a little bit more, maybe like spray it a little, I don't know, just play around and take another print. So you should take enough prints of the same plate until the paint is gone pretty much. That's what I usually do. And the second print is kind of, sometimes it's called like a ghost print. So it's like a remnant of the previous one. Ooh, look at that. So the spray kind of like made this a little funky. I love that. So, and then when you're done with this situation, you can either wash it in the sink or you can just use a wipe to, these are totally dry, just kidding. You can use this package of wipes to wipe it down. Oh, I wanted to show you one other thing though. And also try not to let your acrylic brush dry in all of your excitement. These are little texture plates. So these are actually designed to like use for putting underneath something and then like crayon rubbing on top. Like, ooh, I made a leaf, yay. But you can use them for this too. So you can take this, pull it off, make a print. I haven't used these before, not sure how it'll work. Ooh, that's pretty fun. Cool. And then make sure you wash these off too. This is probably one of the messiest tables. I would recommend just 1 or 2 people working here at a time. Maybe 2. I have a bunch of printing plates though. So ghost print, boom. See, actually, I didn't pull up enough of the color, but you can see a little bit where I pulled up some of the color. The other thing you can do is take these old prints that other people have done and put them on the plate and use this to make a print. Boom, look at that. And then you can also layer. That's one thing I really love about jelly printing is you can just do layers and layers and layers. So I'm gonna re-layer on this. It's better if you let it dry a little bit, but acrylic dries pretty fast. Oh, you can't really see it, but that's okay. So that part is here, but you can't really see it, but you can see it here. So with these, make sure you wash these off too with your acrylic brush. So in like a minute, I just made all of these cool prints. You can use these as backgrounds, whatever. I love this process. It's very like fluid and you can just have a lot of fun with it. Oh, there's also a book right here that I absolutely love. If you want some inspiration, this has tons of project ideas. A lot of this is jelly print related. This was gonna be my winter workshop last year that got canceled. You can see it's a lot of fun. So, highly recommend trying this out. Oh, almost done. This table is the textile table. So this table is all about testing out your sewing skills. So if you've never sewn anything before, time to learn. So I have a whole bunch of embroidery hoops. I have some fabric here. I already cut some for this hoop. We can just all work together on the same surface. I also am putting this here. You can embroider onto canvases. So that's one thing I really like doing is just like mixing media and trying some different stuff. I also have a bag of lots of scrap little tiny pieces of fabric, and you can use these as collage materials. So you could cut these up, collage them into your sketchbook, do whatever. I have a bunch of yarn, string, wire, etc. And these are a set of pretty embroidery thread. That's all nice and organized, so try and keep it that way if possible. I have needles here and scissors, and yeah, I have buttons. These are like guides for embroidery, I think. So I'm pretty sure what you do is you would take this and you would poke holes with this, doot, 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 and then you would sew between them to make that design. I think that's what they're used for. It didn't come with instructions. I haven't tried them. But this is for like poking into, so you don't poke into your fingers. And there's some needles in here too. So, sharp things, beware, but have fun. Questions about this? Again, experiment, have fun. Over here, this is probably my other favorite table. I am whipping out the apron for this one because this one's the messiest table, probably. Okay, so I do highly recommend that you wear gloves for this table. These are alcohol inks. So a lot of, all kinds of paint are just like pigment suspended in something. And so these are pigment suspended in alcohol. Watercolors are pigment suspended in gum arabic. Acrylic is pigment suspended in acrylic polymer. So these are super highly pigmented. I'm like putting on gloves on my hands that are super dirty. But these actually like legit stain into your skin a lot, so yeah. I have small and large. So this paper is called Yupo paper, and I'll get some more for you guys. It's not actually made from trees. It's some kind of synthetic paper, and it's non-porous, which means that things don't soak into it. So that's one thing that's fun about it. The reason I have pokey things here is because I'm not sure if all of these are open yet, and if they're not, you can open it. This one's open, but if they're not open, you just need to carefully stab a little hole in the top, carefully. So, what these are cool for is you just like do some drops and emerald. And you drop them into each other, and sapphire. Oh, I love all these jewel names. Now this one isn't open yet. So, hence gloves. Now what you can do is you can tilt your paper around, and these little air poofers make it like splatter around, which is fun. These are for cleaning camera lenses, but they're much more fun to do this with. And then you'll notice it's almost dry already. Because it's alcohol, it evaporates super quickly. So voila, you can use this to reactivate it. So this is like the water, as if they're like watercolor. This is like the water. So then you can play with it some more. And then what's really fun about this is you can do lots of layers. And you can just get these really interesting like layers of transparency and mixing and just all kinds of fun stuff. And then there's white, and the white is like more like sedimented. So it will actually like settle out more. I think you'll see what I mean in a second. So this is white, normal white, and then I also have advanced white, which I think is more, yeah, this is like more highly pigmented. So if you want a more opaque white, go for the advanced white. If you want a more blendy white, y'all, what you doing? What you doing? Not so advanced white. There we go. So really, again, this is all about just experimenting. You can drop other colors into the white, do some layering. And these are really fun. You can actually use alcohol inks on all kinds of surfaces like glass and porcelain. Like if you glaze a pot white, you could then alcohol ink on top of it. It's not food safe though, so don't do it on like something you're gonna eat out of. But look at that, so fun, right? And then you can just like keep on messing with it, you know? Keep layering. I had to kick people out of this section last time because they were like, I want to just do this the whole time. Voila. Okay, so you need to go to at least 2 stations today. I think I covered them all. We don't have a ton of time left. This is about half of the block that I've spent talking at you. But like I said, I'm giving you extra time for your homework so that you can do more stations next block as well. I would recommend wearing an apron, wearing gloves if you want for any of the stations, but especially this one. And any general questions? I'm not gonna like force you to rotate at particular times, but I do want you to at least visit 2 stations or more today, okay? So maybe start wherever you were sitting and then we can go from there. All right, let's rock and roll. Thanks guys.